Shine your eyes, you are in Lagos. Lagos no day sleep, Lagos no day pity. One moment the city gives you joy, love, and better life, the next moment it can snatch your peace without warning. Who know like better? Everybody wants soft life, but in this city, one small mistake can turn laughter into tears. This is what all ladies should learn from, because in Lagos, trust is not by smile, and safety is not by chance. Once upon a time, in Victoria Island, Lagos, there lived a woman called Chinaya. She was 30 years old, smart and hardworking. Chinaya worked in a beautiful office tower that stood tall like glass under the sun. Every morning, she woke up early in her cozy Surulere apartment, dressed neatly in bright-colored gowns, and took a ride to Victoria Island for work. Chinaya was loved by her friends and respected by her colleagues. She had a kind smile that could soften even the angriest heart. At the office, people always ran to her when they needed advice or encouragement. Outside work, her family saw her as their pride. She was the first daughter of her parents, and she carried their hopes with dignity. Life for Chinaya was good. Lagos was busy, noisy, and full of stress, but she had learned how to make her own joy. On weekends, she met friends at lounges in Lekki or attended weddings full of music, laughter, and dancing. She loved the taste of jollof rice and fried plantain, and her laughter often echoed in the hearts of those around her. But as everyone knows, Lagos is a city with two faces. One side glitters with wealth, music, and dreams. The other hides shadows, danger, and secrets. And in between those two sides stood Chinaya, not knowing how quickly her life would change. At work, she was known as Madam Sunshine. Her boss, Mr. Adewale, often praised her in front of everyone. "If we had 10 Chinayas in this office, Lagos would fear us," he would say with a big laugh. Her colleagues admired her neatness and her confidence. She never raised her voice at anyone, yet her words carried respect. People trusted her because she always spoke the truth. In her family, Chinaya was the big sister that her younger siblings looked up to. She paid school fees, sent money home, and bought gifts for her mother. Her father, who had retired from the civil service, often told neighbors, "My daughter Chinaya is my crown. God has truly blessed me." To many, Chinaya's life was perfect. She had a stable job, good friends, and a loving family. She also had dreams of owning her own fashion business, dreams of building a house for her parents, dreams of marrying a man who would love her as much as she loved him. But Lagos has a way of testing even the strongest dreamers. And it was on one indecisive Lagos day that her test came. It was one of those Lagos afternoons when the sky could not decide whether to smile or to cry. The sun had shone brightly in the morning, but by the time evening came, clouds gathered and a teasing rain began to fall. Chinaya had just finished a long day at the office. Meetings, phone calls, and endless deadlines had drained her. All she wanted was to go home, change into soft clothes, eat hot amla with Yiddish soup, and rest. She stepped out of her office building into the drizzle. The streets were wet, and the usual Lagos traffic was already building. She opened her ride-hailing app and booked a car. The screen said, "Your driver will arrive in 22 minutes." She sighed. 22 minutes felt too long in the rain. She thought of calling a colleague to share a ride. Just then, a clean silver Toyota Corolla pulled up in front of her. The driver leaned out of the window and smiled. "Chin, right? I'm your ride." Chinaya blinked. The car matched the one on her app. Same make, same color. She looked at the driver. He was polite, well-dressed, and his smile seemed safe. She was cold, wet, and tired. Without checking the plate number, she opened the door and got in. At first, everything seemed normal. The car smelled fresh. The seats were clean. The driver spoke softly and politely. It felt safe, but 5 minutes later, her comfort began to erode. She noticed the driver had not tapped his phone to confirm the ride. Usually, drivers confirmed on their app before starting. But his mounted phone screen was dark. Her heart gave a small jump. Then the man turned in a different direction from her usual route. He said casually, "This way is faster." Chinaya frowned. She knew Lagos roads. She was not a stranger to shortcuts, but this turn led to unfamiliar streets. The roads grew narrower. Buildings thinned. Rain grew heavier, hitting the windows like small stones. Suddenly, she heard it click. The central lock. The door sealed. Her stomach tightened. Her palms grew cold. She glanced at her phone and saw something that froze her blood. Her actual driver was still far away, stuck in traffic. The man driving her now was not her ride. He was a total stranger. Her mind screamed. But Shania didn't panic. She remembered what her mother always said. In fear, wisdom is your weapon. Two men stood under a shed ahead, staring at the car as if they were waiting. One of them made a small gesture toward the driver. Shania's heart raced. Something was wrong. She quickly pulled out her phone and pretended to answer a call. In a loud, clear voice, she said, "Yes, Daddy, I'm in the car. I can see your patrol vehicle behind us." The driver stiffened. His hands tightened on the wheel. The men outside hesitated. Shania continued, pretending to read her plate number aloud. "Yes, Daddy, that's the plate number. I will stop here so I can meet you." She turned to the driver and said firmly, "Please stop here." He hesitated. Her voice grew stronger. "Stop this car now. Open the door." Finally, he clicked the lock. The moment the door unlocked, Shania pushed it open. She didn't wait. She stepped into the heavy rain and walked quickly toward the nearest lit-up shop, her heart pounding like a drum. She didn't look back. Not once. Only when she reached the safety of the shop's canopy did she turn. The car was still there. The men were still watching. Then, just as quickly as they had appeared, they vanished into the storm. Soaked but alive, Shania stood under the shop's canopy, her chest heaving. The rain ran down her face, mixing with tears she didn't know she had shed. She flagged down a tricycle and told the driver to take her back toward the main road. She checked her app again. Her real driver was still stuck far away. That night, when she finally reached home, she locked her door and sank onto her bed. She could still hear the sound of the central lock clicking. She could still see the faces of the two men waiting. Later, as she scrolled through her phone, she came across a chilling headline. "Man goes missing in Lekki after entering the wrong ride. Silver Toyota Corolla." Shania froze. The details were almost the same. It could have been her. From that night, Shania became a voice for ride safety. She told her colleagues, her neighbors, even the hairdresser at her salon. In Lagos, your eyes must work before your legs move. Plate numbers are not decoration. They are your first defense. But though she laughed and moved on, deep inside, a shadow had entered her heart. She had escaped danger once. But could she escape it again? The rain that night had stopped, but inside Shania, the storm continued. For days, she replayed the scene in her mind. The locked doors, the strange men, the fake smile of the driver. She would wake up at night sweating, clutching her bedsheet as if it were her shield. Her mother noticed. "Nenny, are you okay?" she asked on a Sunday phone call. "I'm fine, Mama," Shania replied quickly. She didn't want to worry her. But fine was a lie. Each time she booked a ride to work, she triple-checked the plate number. Each time a stranger looked at her on the road, her heart jumped. Lagos was the same city, but to her, it felt like a hunting ground. One Friday evening, Shania met her two best friends, Ada and Ifeoma, at a lounge in Lekki. Music filled the air, people laughed, waiters moved around with trays of suya and drinks. "Babe, you look too tense," Ada said, sipping her Chapman. What happened? Shania told them everything, the fake ride, the locked doors, the men waiting. Ada laughed. "I beg, you think too much. Maybe the man was just confused. Lagos drivers are always confused." Ifeoma shook her head. "No, Ada, this one is serious. That's how girls go missing. Shania, you're lucky. But at least you're safe now. Don't live in fear." Shania frowned. They didn't understand. Ada made jokes. Ifeoma spoke gently, but she didn't feel the weight. Only she knew how real the danger had been. At the office, people noticed her change. "Madam Sunshine, why so dull these days?" her colleague Colonel teased. She forced a smile. Work stress. But inside, she was fighting battles. Even the sound of a car honking below her office window made her uneasy. Mr. Adewale, her boss, called her one day. "Shania, you're one of my best workers. But lately you look lost. Are you all right?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." But she was not all right. Then one day, a man entered her life. His name was Obinna. It started at her church in Surulere. He was tall, dark-skinned, and had a smile that seemed to chase away shadows. He worked in real estate, and everyone called him successful. After service one Sunday, he walked up to her. "Sister Chania, I've seen you a few times. You always look calm, like peace follows you." She laughed softly. No one had called her peaceful in weeks. They exchanged numbers. Soon, calls turned to long conversations. Conversations turned to dinners. Obinna made her laugh again. When he was around, she felt safe. She started to believe maybe her storm was passing. Obinna sent her flowers to her office. He picked her up for work sometimes, opening the car door with a smile. He told her, "A woman like you deserves care, not fear." Her colleagues teased her. Madam Sunshine donned fine sun himself. She blushed. For the first time since the incident, she slept peacefully at night. But life in Lagos is like the ocean. Calm waves can hide sharp rocks. One evening, Obinna offered to drop her home after dinner. As they drove through Ikoyi, she noticed something strange. He received a call, and his face changed. He parked by the roadside and whispered quickly in Igbo. When he returned, his smile looked forced. "Sorry, business call," he said. But she noticed he didn't drive her straight home. He made a detour through a lonely street. Her chest tightened. The memory of the fake ride rushed back. "Obinna, why are we passing here?" He laughed. "Shortcut, love. Don't worry." But her hands shook until they reached her gate. Days passed, and she noticed more cracks. Sometimes Obinna disappeared for days without answering calls. Other times, he spoke about money in ways that made her uneasy. "Lagos is for sharp people," he said once. "If you don't play smart, Lagos will use you." Chania frowned. Was he one of those sharp people? Still, she held on. She told herself he was just stressed. She wanted to believe in love, to believe someone could bring back her joy. One evening, as she sat in her office, her colleague Kunal rushed to her desk. "Chania, come and see breaking news." He held his phone. The headline read, "Real estate scammer wanted in Lekki. Victims report millions lost. Suspect's description matches." The picture below made her heart stop. It was Obinna. Her blood ran cold. She felt the office walls closing in. Her phone buzzed. It was him calling. She didn't answer. That night, she cried in her room. The man she thought was her light was hiding shadows darker than she imagined. The next day, Obinna appeared at her office. He looked restless. "Chania, don't believe everything you read. People envy me. That's why they lie." She stared at him. "Are you a scammer, Obinna?" He laughed nervously. "Baby, trust me." But trust was already broken. As he reached for her hand, she pulled back. "Leave my office." His eyes darkened. For a moment, she saw a side of him she had never seen before, cold, dangerous. Without another word, he left. That night, Chania lay in bed, trembling. First a stranger tried to take her in a fake ride. Now the man who made her laugh was a fraud. She whispered to herself, "Who can I trust?" Outside, Lagos rain began to fall again, beating on the roof like drums of warning. And deep inside her, she knew the storm was only beginning. The days after Obinna's betrayal were heavy for Chania. She went to work, smiled when needed, and answered phone calls, but her heart was tired. The joy that once made her Madam Sunshine was gone. At night, she lay awake staring at her ceiling fan spinning slowly. Thoughts circled her mind. The fake ride, the men by the roadside, the lies Obinna told. She felt as if Lagos itself had turned against her. Her friends noticed the change. "Chania, you don't laugh anymore," Ifeoma said one afternoon. "You were carrying too much inside." But Chania only smiled weakly. Words could not explain the heaviness she carried. One Saturday, she decided to visit her parents in Enugu. She thought maybe fresh air, family love, and home cooking would heal her. Her mother hugged her tightly. "Eneni, you've grown thinner. Lagos is squeezing you too much." Her father nodded. "You must be careful. Lagos is sweet and bitter at the same time." But even at home, she noticed cracks. Her younger brother, Chaik, asked her for money for a business. Something about his story didn't sound right. When she refused, he shouted, "So you don't even trust your own brother?" She sighed. Trust. That word was slowly breaking everywhere she turned. Back in Lagos, things only grew harder. At work, rumors spread. Some colleagues whispered that Chania had been dating a fraudster. Kunal asked her directly, "Is it true you and Obina were close?" Her face burned. She hated how quickly people judged. The betrayal she faced in private was now public gossip. One evening, while walking home from the bus stop, she felt someone following her. She turned quickly. A man in a hoodie slipped into a dark corner. Her heart raced. She hurried into her compound, her hands shaking. Was it Obina? Was he watching her? That night, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She hesitated but picked it. "Chinaya," the voice said. Her heart froze. It was Obina. "Don't hang up," he continued. "They are after me. I need your help." She whispered, "You lied to me. You deceived me. Leave me alone." But his voice carried desperation. "If I fall, they will come for you too. Please." Before she could reply, the line went dead. The next week was full of fear. She avoided lonely streets. She refused unknown calls. Then one Thursday evening, as she walked out of her office, she saw him. Obina stood across the road, looking thinner, rougher, like a man running from shadows. He raised a hand. "Chinaya, please." But anger boiled inside her. She shook her head and walked away. "Chinaya!" he called louder. People stared, but she didn't turn back. That night, she cried bitterly. She cried for the trust she lost, the fear she lived with, the love that turned into ashes. A week later, news broke. Obina had been arrested in Abuja. His crimes filled the headlines: fraud, betrayal, lives ruined. Chinaya sat in her room, phone in hand, reading every word. Her chest hurt. She felt betrayed, yet relieved. But the damage was done. She no longer trusted the city she lived in. She no longer trusted the men she met. Even friendship felt like a fragile thread. One Sunday, as she sat by her window watching children play in the street, her little niece came to sit beside her. "Auntie Chinaya," the girl asked, "why do you look sad?" Chinaya smiled weakly. "Because sometimes, people who look kind are not kind. Sometimes, the people you trust can hurt you." The child frowned. "So what should we do?" Chinaya hugged her tightly and whispered, "Always be careful. Always listen to your heart. Don't rush to trust people just because they smile. Even when life looks bright, remember that shadows can hide behind the light." The child nodded slowly, and in that moment, Chinaya knew her story was no longer just her pain. It was a warning, a lesson for others. For every child who reads this, be careful with trust. Not everyone who looks good is good. Always check. Always listen to your inner voice, and never ignore danger signs. In life, your safety must come before sweet words. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again, but if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.